Welcome to BCIS 3347. My name is Dr. Schuessler, and I will be your professor this semester. I usually like to start off the semester with an introductory video that kind of walks you through the Blackboard shell, and hopefully it'll make it a little bit easier for you to navigate and be able to find things. There will be a separate video that goes through the syllabus and the schedule, a lot like what we might do on the first day of class if this were a face-to-face class. So when you pull up Blackboard, it should look something similar to this. You'll actually see different courses depending on what you're actually registered for. But this is our course right here, Spring 2017 Data Communications, BCIS 3347. So we'll go ahead and click on that and take us into the course. And this is what our home page is basically going to look like. Now I'm going to switch over to Student Preview so you can actually see what it looks like right now. So right now it looks like this. Once it's done, this red section here will be gone. Those two videos you just saw will be right here and right here. There'll be two of those. One of them will be this video. The other one will be the syllabus video. Below that is the Twitter feed right here. And if you kind of scroll through that, you don't have to have a Twitter account, but if you do, it certainly you can follow me. But if you don't, you can log into Blackboard and kind of see what's going on. So you can see some of the kind of stuff that I post. I post all kinds of stuff that's related to students, that's related to technology, things like that. So things that I think will be of interest to you. Below that, at the bottom of the page, we have stuff over the help desk, netiquette, and computer use policy. If you're having trouble with Blackboard, contact the Blackboard help desk. They can take care of most of your problems pretty quickly and efficiently. Netiquette, if you're new to the online environment and you don't really know how to behave, that's a good place to start right there. Click on that and that'll open up a document for you that kind of gives you some of the ins and outs of how to behave in the online environment. And then finally, the computer use policy. Keep in mind you're logging into university systems. Even though you may be on your own phone or tablet or computer, you're using university systems, so don't do anything that you wouldn't do out in broad daylight kind of stuff. This is the home page. If you want to get back here, simply click on home and it'll bring you right back to this same page. We have the syllabus and the schedule. Again, both of those will be covered in a separate video. Those are links to external documents that are Google Docs. Under lessons and lectures, I've got a couple of utility lectures if you're interested in Visio, or this should actually be Microsoft Imagine, which is access to free software. After the first week or so of class, you should receive an email at your tarleton.go account with your account information, so you can log in and you'll have access to a lot of free software that way. And that's a great way to get familiar with a lot of the products that you might be working with in the real world. And then APA formatting information. So all that stuff's available to you. Then I've also got lectures that I've captured over the years. Unfortunately, this is from a previous edition of the text, and some of these are from a face-to-face section that I taught a few years ago. So they don't match up exactly with the current edition of the text, but you should find them extremely helpful. So if you're interested, you certainly have those available to you. Now, most students are interested in this next section. This is where your grades come from. So the deliverables for this course, we have quizzes or assessments, you have homework, we have a discussion board, and we have exams. So for assessments, click on that and you can see all the assessments. All of the assessments, with the exception of a post test, which is not available yet, are already posted. So you feel free to work ahead. In fact, I encourage you to work ahead a little bit, maybe not too much because you want to stay engaged in the class, but working ahead a little bit can be a good thing. All of the assessments are password protected using the password TEST, T-E-S-T, all lowercase. So how do you start one of these? Simply click on the assessment. It'll give you some background information. In this particular case, for the pretest, it's timed at 15 minutes. Click begin and you type in the password. That's all there is to that. It also tells you when it's due. Everything's due at 9:30 p.m. on Sunday nights for the most part, with the exception of some stuff at the very end of the semester, but keep that in mind. The second assessment is over the syllabus. Be sure and read the syllabus. Look at the syllabus video that'll be available here in a bit. and be ready for it. I'm not trying to trick you. I just want to make sure that you've read the syllabus, and that's all that's about. And then there's the chapter quizzes, and again, same kind of thing. You click on that. These are timed as well. They're a 5-minute, timed at 5 minutes. Usually students do not like my quizzes. Again, they're not designed to trick you or anything like that. They're really just trying to encourage you to make sure you stay current in your reading, and that's really all they're there for. That's why I drop your lowest ones, and usually student grades by the end of the semester tend to be pretty good on the quizzes. Homework assignments are also already posted. There's this very first one, which is a little bit different than some of the others. It's basically kind of a maintenance assignment that helps you to create a Google folder, and that's where you're going to keep your files for this semester. You're going to share that folder with me, and I kind of walk you through the instructions there, and then there's a link to a Google form that I want you to fill out as well. The next one is over giving you instructions basically over how to register with TestOut. TestOut is where you're going to be doing your homework in. So I give you the instructions all right here. I give you the important information you need, your promotion code, which will save you a lot of money, the course within TestOut that you will associate your account with, all that kind of stuff. And then there's the various homework assignments. So for the very first week, homework 1, the very first homework assignment is homework 1. It's Lab Sim 1. It's the very first one in Lab Sim, Networking Basics. Now keep in mind, I go in order here. Homework 2, but it's not the second Lab Sim assignment. It's Lab Sim 6, Switch Management. So keep that in mind. Don't bounce around homework assignments here. Go in the order. Be sure and look at the schedule so you can tell which Lab Sim is actually due that week. And then you'll be able to see that a little bit more when you look at the schedule and as I send out weekly announcements as well. Again, all the homework assignments are already posted. You're encouraged to work ahead. I don't take late assignments, so keep that in mind. Discussion boards are right here. Now, mine are a little bit unique, and we'll get down to that here in just a little bit. Let me start here. Introductions. Go ahead and post an introduction to yourself. Here's what I usually like you to do. Create a thread. For the title of that thread, use your last name, first letter uppercase, comma, space, first name, first letter uppercase, and then give me an introduction about yourself. Now I went into pretty good detail and I made a video and all that. You don't have to do that, but let us know a little bit about who you are, and so we know who we're sharing the class with. If you have general questions, you're having trouble on one of the TestOut assignments, which is not uncommon, post it here. Post it to ask the professor and your peers. Hopefully you can help somebody out, help somebody else out if they're having problems, or they can help you out, and that's what that's designed for. If you have a question about a grade, though, do not post it there. I'll show you where to do that here in a little bit. I throw this resource in there just in case. You don't really need it, but if you do have a question for the librarian, you can certainly post the question to them there. And then, rather than having a regular semester project that's done in isolation, I have everybody do an assignment that they all share with everybody else. Everybody has their own individual assignment, but they're posted here to the discussion boards. So for this very first one, we're going to be working on a logical diagram. So I talked to you about a logical diagram. I give you an example logical diagram right there. This is one that a former student did a couple of years ago, and it was extremely good. So I provide that as kind of a reference. I go through some of the details of what is a quality logical diagram. I give you some links to other sites that should hopefully be helpful. And then I tell you what it is that I want you to do in order to get credit for the rest of the assignment. So you've got to post your logical diagram. So you create your logical diagram, you create the narrative that goes with that, and then you're going to save that logical diagram as it's going to be a Google file, a Google document that's saved in your Google folder that you shared with me. That Google document is going to have your logical diagram. It's going to have the narrative that's associated with that diagram, all of that kind of stuff. And then the only thing you're going to submit here is you're going to create a thread within this discussion board. You're going to create a thread in this discussion board, and that's what you're going to use to paste the link to that document. So you don't paste that document itself, you paste the link to that document. And we'll go back to that here in just a second because there's more stuff there. So you paste a link to that document, and in this case you do that by this Sunday, February the 5th at 9:30 p.m. Every student in class should have done that. Then by Wednesday of the following week, 2/8, you need to have looked at some of those other documents that have been posted from some of your peers. Start asking questions. Why did you choose to do it this way? Why are you doing this? They need to be substantive questions. You really need to have some substantive feedback to your peers to help them improve what they're doing. If you have suggestions, help them out. You need to make a post on or before that Wednesday. By the end of the week, everything's due on Sunday, so by the end of the week you need to have a second post. So on or after Thursday, 2/9, but before the due date again, you need to have a second post, and it's going to either ask another question from somebody else or provide meaningful feedback to somebody else, or it's going to be in response to somebody's feedback to you. It can be either one, doesn't matter, but again, it needs to be substantive. It can't be, hey, your diagram looks really good. That's not going to cut it. You need to be specific and tell us what is it that's really good, what stands out about that particular diagram, what could they do to do better for their diagram. And then finally, on the last 2 days, either Saturday or Sunday, you need to provide a reflective post. What did you learn out of this assignment? What did you learn out of creating, in this case, the logical diagram? So that's really what I'm looking for that discussion board. Same thing for the physical diagram. It's due a little bit later, and I'll give you an example. Same format. We're talking about a different part. Now this is the same exact document here. You're not creating a new document for this one. You're simply continuing to build on the link that you submitted for the very first one. So by the end of the semester, you have largely a completed semester project that you've shared with the rest of the class. The rest of the class has seen yours, you've seen theirs, all of that kind of stuff. One other thing I wanted to point out before I leave the discussion board is when I click on the discussion board, I can click on grading information. Each discussion board is different because we're dealing with a different topic, but in this case with the logical diagram, how are you going to be graded? Well, click over here and you'll see the grading rubric, and this is how you're graded. So I give you all of the criteria over here to the left, and then you're graded 0, basically that you fail to meet expectations, you meet them, or you exceed them. So keep that in mind there. This is how you're going to be assessed for, in this case, the logical diagram. And like I said, that's true for all of the discussion boards. It's a little bit different from discussion board to discussion board because the topic's different from one to the next. So if I come over here to physical diagram, grading information, look at the rubric, and it's actually a little bit different. So you created it, that you created the discussion board title properly, that you created a clickable link, the narrative is there, some of the details about the diagram, the content itself, and then that you did the posts on time and in the right places, that kind of thing. So that is it as far as the discussion boards. Exams you won't actually see right now. They're not posted. They won't be available. You won't see these until the times that they're scheduled. Now the exams are a little unique in the sense that the very first exam is here in Blackboard. It's really over some of the more managerial concepts that we cover in the class, whereas towards the end of the semester we get a little bit more applied. The more applied stuff, the final exam, is in the test out environment. It's actually a certification exam, so you have the opportunity to get your grade for the final exam, and if you pass, obtain the certification, Network Pro certification. Something else that's a little bit different is it's done through Examity, so it's actually a proctored environment, and we'll have more details on that later on in the semester. But it's done through Examity. You'll go to Examity, check in with them, and then they will monitor you as you take the final exam. Communications, announcements will be posted here. They're blank right now, there's nothing there. But once a week, I send out an announcement with what's going on in class, reminders, what's due this week, all those kinds of things. And that usually does pretty well in terms of trying to keep students on task. Course messages are right here. This is basically the kind of a dedicated email way of sending email within the class. If you want to send an email, if it's course related, it must be within Blackboard. I do not accept messages outside of Blackboard if they're course related. If you've got another question, you need a recommendation or something, certainly you can send it to my regular email address. But if it's course related, it must be within Blackboard. So simply click on course messages, create message to, and then go find my name there. And then everything else works pretty much like you would think it would. Be sure and give it a subject, type out your message, and hit submit. Virtual office hours. If you need to meet, let me know. We can work out a day and a time, and click on that. And you don't have to have anything. This is actually not going to be a Google Hangout. This will be a Zoom link, and that way we can meet virtually. Next in communications, I like to keep, I keep my grades under communications because the reality is it is a way to communicate with me, or for me to communicate with you. So I usually get stuff graded and posted very quickly relative to most professors. Things are usually due on Sunday, unless it's something that is really pretty big in scope. I usually have grades posted the following Monday, or that Monday, the next day. So keep that in mind. If you see a bunch of blanks, if you see grades that are not being entered, that's maybe you missed something. Maybe I feel like you missed something. Reach out to me. We need to figure out what's going on. These will probably be, let's see, looks like I've got them largely in order. Another way to see some of the rubrics, for example, homework 0, if there's a rubric associated with it, you can simply click right there. And again, it's going to show you the rubric there. That's just another way to access the rubrics. Down here for the discussion boards, same thing. You can see all the rubrics right there. And that's pretty much it as far as grades. Down here I have supplemental material. A lot of students like to use the slides as a study guide, as a way to study each chapter rather than reading the chapter or in addition to reading the chapter. So you have access to that there. I simply threw them all into a Google folder and converted them to Google Slides, so they don't count against my storage. So you can certainly take a look at those there. Social media, I've posted all these there. Currently my server is turned off, so my website's not accessible right now, but I'll get that hooked back up here shortly. Google Plus community, I don't do a lot there. I do have a lot of my videos posted on YouTube for this class as well as other classes, so you can access that. I am fairly active on Twitter, although less so today, and now that I'm a department head and I have to manage our department's Twitter feed, so I'm not as active, but I do still tweet stuff out personally. My LinkedIn page, and then some books that I've run across and that I recommend. I also like to keep things light, so you can certainly take a look at some of these videos. They're all tech related, and some of them can be a little raunchy at times, so if you have a sensitive stomach, skip over those. Something else I try to do is I like to kind of have an idea about my students, so I gather some data, and you'll see that as you take some of the tests that you'll take. There'll be a link to a survey, and at the beginning of the semester over learning style and personality, and then at the end of the semester over my own course assessment, and I'll talk about that here in just a second. So you can kind of get a breakdown on students that have taken this class in the past, and as you guys take this, it will be updated. So you can see that for the most part, students tend to be observational, and they tend to be less group oriented in terms of their learning style. They don't really like working in groups. That's nothing unusual. Unfortunately, employers like students that work in groups, so plan on getting used to that. As far as personality, you can see that students tend to be pretty open, and they tend not to be very neurotic. That's probably a good thing, isn't it? And then we have course evaluation. So at the end of the semester, I do my own course evaluations. I encourage you to still do the university's course evaluations, but this is my own that I do for my class. And I also encourage you to use Rate My Professor. All of those things, those are all ways to get information back to me. So you can take a look at the various questions and how students have rated me in the past, as well as some of the stuff that they've written in terms of giving feedback. And then finally, Blackboard help. So that's just kind of the canned Blackboard help stuff that they provide. Honestly, I'd rather contact the Blackboard help desk, but that's certainly up to you. Again, you get back to the home page simply clicking there. So that's all I've got for you. Again, my name is Dr. Schuessler. I'm looking forward to this semester. And if you have any questions, reach out, send me a course message, and here's to a great semester.